The NCAA Indoor Championship is about to go off in Division I, which means we will crown a brand new national champion. The Florida Gators won the outdoor title again in 2023. That's 6 championships since the year 2012. And in case you haven't been paying attention, because ESPN sure enough won't tell you on their app, they're ranked 6th in the nation at the time I'm recording this video. The Gators have done it with Olympic caliber talent like Grant Holloway and Joseph Fahnbulleh for that entire dynasty run. But that's only telling half the story, because more than half of their points out the outdoor championship meet came from the 400-meter dash and the 4x4 relay alone. No other events. If you watch my channel, then you know that I have gone on record to say that college track and field is pretty broken when it comes to crowning a national champion. We don't actually let the teams face off. We simply give a trophy to whichever one has the most Olympic caliber athletes on the day. If the Gators were to enter a dual meet with the Division III national champions, MIT, yes, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, believe it or not, that meet would go down to the wire. And I already made a video on it, but spoiler alert, the Gators still come out on top, but barely. And you don't even want to know what would happen if they took on the Division II national champions from Pittsburgh State, which is ironically in Kansas. The truth is that track and field is a team sport at the college level. That is why they hand out a team trophy at the conference championship meets and again at the NCAAs. I do see you in the comments for those who disagree with me, but college coaches know what this actually is. They have to win to keep their jobs, and in order to do that, they have to score points to win meets. It's really that simple. So since nobody actually cares that much about determining who has the best team, I took it upon myself to go and rank them all. Because believe it or not, we have all the data we could ever need to answer that question for every single team in Division I. I created a team net rating system for college track and field. It's not that different from what they do with RPI in college basketball. It's part of how the selection committee determines how good a team from a conference that nobody really pays attention to actually is before they get on the bracket. And if it's good enough for them, then it's good enough for me, which is why I ranked every single Division I men's track and field team for their performances during the indoor season to determine who is really the best, regardless of the politics. I could tell you how I did it. You take conference, regional, and national ranking indexes and mix it together with a whole bunch of math and even some professional judgment. But I'm sure you really don't care about that, so I won't bore you. So here is a breakdown of the best men's indoor track and field teams across all of Division I if we actually cared who has the best team, top to bottom. Of course, some of the usual suspects from the SEC and the other big name conferences make the cut. But you will be shocked by some of the other teams that crack the top 25, because college track and field is actually a team sport. And if you don't believe me, then you must not have ever sat through a championship trophy presentation at a Division I conference meet, watching all the men for somebody else's team celebrate winning a trophy that didn't fit around any one person's neck, because I sure did. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. I don't have time to break down all of the crazy things that using a net rating system actually points out. I could tell you that Georgia Tech is apparently the worst team in any of the 4 major conferences, or that the Ivy League is one of the best conferences in all of Division I, even though they don't hand out any athletic scholarships. But I guess I just did. Instead, I'm going to focus on the teams ranked inside the top 25, because let's be honest, that's all that really matters in the NCAA anyway. But to do this well, I have to break this into 3 categories: the best conferences, the best mid-major teams, and of course the top 5 teams in the nation. Remember to check the full ranking list for the best men's indoor track teams in all of Division I on SVArecruiting.com. And know that the ladies are definitely up next and should be out before the NCAA indoor meet goes off. When you break down the top 25 teams, pound for pound, and consider the 4 conferences with the biggest reputations, only 3 of them actually perform anything close to it. I call them the usual suspects, because most of the recruits in the nation still think that these teams are the best, even if it's not actually true. The SEC and Big 12 each have 4 teams ranked inside the top 25. And the Big Ten holds their own with 3. But believe it or not, the ACC is not as good as you think. They only have one team ranked inside the top 25. That's Florida State at 18. Their sprints are a huge part of it, but they still got knocked off by UNC at the ACC championship meet, who ironically is ranked just outside the top 25. That means that half of the top 25 come from teams that you barely hear much about, and some of them even crack the top 10. That's because they may not win the NCAAs in any one single event, but have a bunch of solid athletes in any of them you could pick. That is why I call them the sleepers. And it starts with team number 25, Army out of the Patriot League. They're one of the best teams in the Northeast region, led by Luke Griner in the 800. But Colorado State from the Mountain West comes in at number 23. Indiana State from the Missouri Valley comes in at number 21. And High Point from the Big South landed at 20. All of them have several athletes who are at least borderline national caliber, like Tyler Colwell in the 60 for Colorado State. But I conveniently skipped over Harvard at number 22, because they are not just Grand Blanks. They have one of the best weight throwers and high jumpers in college this year to go with them, and they represent the most underrated conference in all of college track and field. Literally, there are no bad teams in the Ivy League. And ranked ahead of Harvard is Cornell and Princeton, finishing 16th and 12th on this list. Youngstown State out of the Horizon is another big sleeper, with Ty Hunt leading them in the long jump. They basically run things in that conference, winning by 130 points. But they can match up one-on-one with almost any team in a duel. But UConn apparently isn't just good at basketball, because they finished number 9 on the national net rating list. They've got good athletes across the board and one of the best high jumpers as well. But the biggest sleeper of them all is Navy out of the Patriot League. They finished 7th overall on the national net rating list. That's one spot ahead of the Florida Gators. I honestly didn't believe it at first, so I went back to check my math. And I even tried to change the equation to see if I could get them out of the top 10. They kept landing inside because they're actually that good. You could argue that sprinter Nathan Kent is their best athlete on the track, but they're basically a cut below NCAA championship level in every single event. Of course, the Gators have more men who can actually score at the NCAAs, but trust me, they don't want any parts of the Naval Academy one-on-one in a duel. Which brings me now to the top 5. The teams that are actually the best of the best. Number 5 goes to the Washington Huskies, who are so good in the distance events that they have 4 men on the national starting list in the mile alone. And number 4 goes to the Texas Longhorns, who are solid in every single event, but can actually win one of them, with Yusuf Bizimana in the 800. But the number 3 spot goes to Texas Tech, who figured out how to own practically all the sprints and hurdle events. They now have 6 men qualified for the NCAA Indoor Championship meet, alone in the 60-meter dash. That is out of only 16 qualifying spots. But they also have Terrence Jones, who is the collegiate record holder in the 60-meter dash, and less than 2/10 off of the record again in the 200. And he also runs for the Bahamas, so as far as I'm concerned, he could steal a medal in Paris this summer. The number 2 spot goes to Northern Arizona, from the Big Sky Conference. They don't count as a sleeper anymore, because this is what they do. But most people don't realize they're not just distance anymore. Nico Young has a fully loaded team riding with him, so they can win on any track under almost any conditions, one-on-one in a duel. So if the Lumberjacks are on your schedule, you're gonna have a long day. And the number 1 team in the entire nation is the same one I would have guessed before I ever ran the numbers. The Arkansas Razorbacks out of the SEC. That means they're the best team in Division I from top to bottom. And it makes sense because they only recruit the absolute best. I didn't say the best recruits in the nation. That's why you don't see much of them on my national recruit ranking list. They dig up Olympic caliber talent from all over the world and turn them into Razorbacks. And if you are already a national champion, like Romaine Beckford, and you want to transfer to Arkansas, then they're cool with it. They deserve to win the NCAA indoor meet, and if you ask me, I hope they pull it off. If they don't, it only happened because the rules are technically rigged, so you don't really need the best team to come out on top that weekend. March Madness is so much fun because schools from every conference get to compete. We don't do that in track and field. We ask teams to battle it out all season, and then we send them to conference championship meets. We even give them trophies while they're there, and then rank them across one of 9 regions in all of Division 1. But those regions literally qualify you for nothing. And then we just select the top 16 Olympic caliber athletes and parade them out there in their uniforms and tally up the score when we're done. It's basically if the NCAA tournament only invited future NBA players to compete in all the games. Because before Ben Simmons was the #1 pick in the NBA draft, he played for LSU, where they did not make the NCAA tournament, which means he didn't play in March Madness either. But college track and field is a team sport, and all of the teams on this list have figured that out, even better than almost everyone else in D1. And that is true regardless of whatever the score says at the end of the NCAA championship meet. And if you don't believe me, then schedule any one of those teams in a dual meet this season and just see how that goes for you. SCA track and field gear is here. Fast is a lifestyle, and what you wear should reflect that. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.